Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. We're going to have a chat about what's going on off the pitch. We've had one about the on-pitch stuff, but we need to have one about what's going on off the pitch, and still reeling, I guess, from a points deduction and a possible second points deduction.
Yeah.
And when
maybe even a third one next year. You believe that City fella?
Nah, he's a clown. How can he predict what's happening next year, Stefan? Is the fella who City chased and City are under 115 charges for not doing things right?
Yeah.
Fair play. Who's got himself a nice little gig
there's a handful of people out there who are being perceived by legacy media as experts, simply because they get on a list and they keep talking to them, right?
Fair play to them. But we have got there's a couple of big things. I mean, the points deduction day, us three have done it to death, so we're not gonna be speaking about it. But you, I mean, what have you made of the first one and then obviously the second?
Stinking. Which no team should be. This applies to Forest. Leicester under investigation, Burnley, Wolves, Chelsea, whoever. There shouldn't be any points deductions, and they've said that in the white paper or the independent regulator. Shouldn't be getting points deductions, particularly for the stadium.
Yeah,
you can't, like you said, suddenly overlap. Never seen a stadium nodding in at the back post.
Yeah,
but okay, there is a punishment. What that punishment is needs to be worked out with the relevant authorities. Unfortunately, you're dealing with an authority who are incompetent, and obsessed with money, and it's only got them to a point now where the game is, if it's not already broken, then it's certainly a breaking point, particularly with the news this week about them not signing off the EFL money to. So, and it's the unknown, isn't it, with the second point? Obviously, the Premier League is struggling for a legal bandwidth, because if it was me, I would have just wrapped it up with the appeal. If I'm Everton, and I know we talked about this earlier in terms of what you would have done when that charge hit, I would have gone straight to CAS. And I think it would have all been sorted by now. I think it's just stinking, isn't it? We're culpable. Yes, I'm not saying we haven't done anything wrong. Of course we have. With creative accountancy and whatever else, and we've been run poorly, which is why we've protested. But to be hit with a points deduction and then a second one looks like incoming, where there's nothing written down. The analogy used on this channel is the speeding one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're really relying on Forest to get
contagious.
It is.
You started it
to get a big deduction greater than ours, which can only be, if they're saying it's not going to be more than 9, then it has to be 8. If it's anything less than 8, I think we're going to kick up a stink. But I think by then it's too late, which is why I said we should have gone to the highest court possible to just get rid of it. Particularly with the regulator, they're just having a watching brief, aren't they, to see what's going on. If all of a sudden one of the members goes out to a court to challenge them, and I think we've tried to work with them in good faith, and that was part of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Once you've done all that, and contractually, there's a mediation process, dispute resolution, but I think you've gone past that. Once they've gone above board and said, well, we're going to charge you, but for me, all bets are off. I would have gone straight to CAS, and I think this would have been sorted, because in the City example, it was sorted in 5 months.
I think as well, there's a couple of legal people saying that actually they're not laws. The Premier League thinks not law, so therefore Everton, Forest, Leicester, anyone can take them to a court. There's this thing that it can't go any further. Of course it can.
Yeah.
It's affecting you as a business. It's out in the public. If Everton would have said we're going to the highest court, not accepting your decision.
It's in the appeal, isn't it? We mentioned it. The High Court judgment or whatever it was, forget the wording. And when it come back to have that review period, that it was like, well, if it's in there, it's referenced, then why? Who's saying you can't go?
My issue with it is, again, I've said it lots of times, points is a nonsense for me, because you're affecting this thing over here. You're taking these results away, which makes your league pathetic, really. It makes your league a non-entity. It's a COVID season, far as I'm concerned. It's not real. There's asterisks everywhere. It's all a load of nonsense, and you're affecting results that are being played. Everything has to be in black and white.
Yeah, of course it does.
I don't agree with points deductions, but if that's what you think is necessary, again, I don't know why any club would vote for it, but hey ho, when the rules are there to stop your club going under, simply, there's nothing to do. It says in the thing, it's got nothing to do with sporting advantage, nothing. And the rules aren't there to balance the sport. They're not there because if they were really bothered about the competition and integrity of the competition, then everyone would be allowed to spend the same amount of money.
Yeah.
No one would be allowed to run away with it. Yeah. One team wouldn't be on television more than anyone else, getting the handouts every time they're on. You know, there's that kind of thing. So they don't care about the balance of the sport. But the rules are there to stop you going under. And if you've got backing that and people guaranteeing it, like if in Everton's case, or Forest, let's use Forest in their case, if their owner goes, I will underwrite any thingy to keep this club afloat. If not, you come after me. It's got nothing to do with the club. And I know John said lots of times, well, make them put the money there then. It's almost in. Yeah. There's the pot of money, and if it's needed to be used. So I just find it all a little bit mad. But as well as that going on, where are you with this the takeover thing and the length? And I'll bring obviously John and Pedden in a second, but the length it's taken for this takeover thing to be resolved, because
we spoke about this earlier, didn't we? Again, this is another thing that doesn't seem to be written down anywhere. That's only been quoted by The Athletic. It should be 12 weeks. And then you two guys, ironically, put me right over guy who's took over at Man United. I keep forgetting his name.
Jim Ratcliffe.
That I thought that was done on a shorter time period than Everton, but it wasn't. He went in June or July. So again, at this
Newcastle was 18 months.
And this comes down to the legal bandwidth of them. Just either chase them or say, right, you're in.
Yeah.
I'm not pro or against 777. I don't know. And just, if it depending on what cognitive bias you want to reflect in your own judgment. There's plenty of stuff on search engines that you can go one way or the other. We talked about today. Gazzetta dello Sport did one about Genoa.
Positive one. But there's loads of negative ones.
You can go and find it yourself. But they're venture capitalists who are here to make a quick buck. There's no one waiting in the wings. I'm waiting to win the Euro Millions so I can pay rights and media funding off. You know what I mean? So we can have some bandwidth. There's no one there because, they're looking to make money, aren't they? But I just want a decision because the club needs structure, needs governance, it needs a lot of people getting rid of who've just been jobs for the boys for years. It just needs a complete reset. Moving to the stadium should be that reset, but we need them people in place to make them executive decisions. Even just coming back to the manager situation, if you want him gone now, it's 11 games, then there's no one there to make that decision. No. And he's done it well. He's fronting up a lot of them questions.
He's the only one.
Because he's the only one, isn't he? Yeah. So it needs resolving one way or another, pro or not. You can't have a process that's gone for 24 weeks.
It's longer now, isn't it? It's 20. I mean, it is becoming a bit of a nonsense. Would you like to see a thing where it's like you've got to satisfy this process by 12 weeks or 14 weeks, and if you can't, you reject it for now, and like you said, it doesn't mean you can't come back.
The onus should be on the people who are trying to buy the football club, shouldn't it? There's the rules should be set out. If you can't produce, but it should be transparent as well, because we've had this loads of times. I can sit there and say 777 haven't provided the documentation. John can say, well, the Premier League have received it, but so we need someone to say they've given it, they've got rid of it, or whatever. It's at the moment, it's he said, she said. So how can you...
I think that's reflected in the appeal process as well, because it's another appeal board.
Who knows?
So you, as head 777, could have sent it to John, but someone's ranged up me and said, no, I haven't received anything. It just, and because of that, the stress on the legal bandwidth, just seems that they're not. And it's elongating the process it doesn't need to be.
John, we are where we are right now. I just want them to make a decision. If 777 haven't satisfied them, send them away. Just go, off you pop, you're not taking over the football club. But do you think there should be something in black and white that says, this is like if you were selling I know Premier League aren't selling Everton, but say you were selling a house for argument's sake, and I'm trying to buy it, and you say to me, I want to complete this in 3 months because I've got my eye on doing something else, and I keep not providing you with the stuff, surely you would say after a period of time, like, go away. And if this is still up for sale, you're entitled to put a different offer in at a different time when you've got the stuff. Because, like Ped said, I had no idea whether Triples, they're saying they give the Premier League everything. We had Richard Masters saying they were still waiting or something. Then they had a head-to-head meeting, a face-to-face meeting where we thought we were going to hear anyway. If this entity hasn't provided everything or doesn't seem good enough, why hasn't it just been like kiboshed? Or if they are good enough, why haven't they been given the green light? What's going on? Because we're suffering as a football club.
Don't know.
Okay, there you go.
Right.
You say you always want short answers.
Yeah, well, just a little bit longer than that.
Okay. I mean, in all seriousness, there's always two things, right? I like people who use the phrase cognitive bias because I think to myself, how does he know Andy McGregor, right? Yeah. Because he's the ultimate source of that phrase, right?
The piff.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
No.
I find it fascinating personally, right? Ped said, I might say that 777 haven't provided all that.
I did not say it like that.
You didn't.
That's how you talk.
You did, right. I might say that they haven't provided all the information.
Yeah.
John might say, yes, they have. I haven't got a bloody clue whether they have or they haven't. And
You always say if Ped done this and so.
But the point is,
John.
and this is the question, right? And this, is an answer or a version of an answer, right? You don't know, I don't know. And you call it cognitive bias, which is if you choose to listen to the people to the left of me, it's all 777's fault.
Yeah.
If you choose to listen to the people to the right of me, it's all the Premier League's fault.
Yeah.
Right? And you distill it down to a very simple question, right? Some people are quite fond of saying, well, how could Mashiri could stop this tomorrow? So could the Premier League.
Yeah.
Right?
True, yeah.
So we all end up second guessing, going, hang on a minute, okay, let's, whatever Tony is, like, we count down, whatever, right? We go, you have to prove to the Premier League that you're a sound body of mind and all that rubbish, but that you've got the funds to buy the shares of Farhad Mashiri, this is you.
Yeah.
That you've got the funds or the backing, whatever you want to call it, to run this business for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? And obviously your individuals themselves can't be murderers and they can't be people who committed fraud, all that sort of stuff, right? Fit and proper owner part of it, right? Yeah. Once you've done that, we'll let you buy this football club.
Yeah.
Okay? But the regulator, in this case the Premier League, could say, and if at the end of 12 weeks, when we want to make the decision 12 weeks later, and you're right, there's no time limit on it. Part of the Premier League's problem is things get done when they get done. They never do today. Yeah. Well, they should have done yesterday. They'd rather do it tomorrow, right? So the Premier League, because they just said publicly, they haven't provided the information, therefore they've been disbarred or we stop the process. They can come back when they've got the goddamn information. Yeah, and everyone. I
think they should have done that.
And they could have done that at any time, right? The thing is, why is it all playing out in public anyway? Right? You know my view, and I've talked about it on the desk over there. In other industries, you would have a pre-qualification process where you personally could rock up to the Premier League and say, right, what do I need to do to prove I'm a fit and proper owner of a football club? I'm thinking about it. I haven't picked one yet. And I don't know which one I can afford, but can I pass your test? So at least when I go and speak to Farhad Mashiri or I go and speak to the Glazers, I can say, I've already passed the fit and proper owners test. Oh, yeah, well, these other guys are interested. Yeah, but they haven't passed the fit and proper owners test, and I have.
Yeah.
But that's all bog standard in other industries, right? I think the root of all evil here is that the Premier League's processes are crap. Across the piece.
Get off the fence.
We've seen it played out with PSR. They're going to change it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They changed it a matter of months ago to do a fast track process to get stuff done in this season. Right? And now they're going to change it again. Yeah. Richard Masters said there was a select committee. No. The PSR is going to stay there for at least a year, maybe two. Now we hear Sky, whether briefed or not, saying it could be changed as soon as the summer.
It's changed in the summer. Well, they're going with not could be now. It's getting changed in the summer.
Have the Premier League said that?
Yeah, the Premier League said it.
Premier League have said it.
Well, that's it. They're fools, complete and utter fools, because you don't replace a dysfunctional process that doesn't work, hasn't passed stress testing and all that sort of stuff. In other words, when you try and use it, it doesn't work, and then rush through a new answer, right? So, devil's always in the detail, right? If the Premier League says we're going to change this before the start of next season, right, then right now, as we speak, lawyers from Everton, lawyers from Nottingham Forest and lawyers from the Premier League must be talking to each other, because at least one of those clubs should say, we are going to take you to an independent court outside of your jurisdiction, and we're going to sue your ass, because it looks to me like you've known for a while that these processes was not fit and proper. Forget the owner's test. Your own processes are not fit and proper, and you've tried to make them work. You've already made legal mistakes,
which is being admitted,
as the appeal board said, and the appeal board's trying to operate within the rules, but lay down a foundation to say, come on guys, get a grip, right? Now, the thing is, and this is the fun, right? They haven't changed in the last 48 hours, have they, the Premier League, and said that they know exactly what the new rules are going to look like. People are assuming that because it's based on the squad ratio thing that UEFA have had for a while now, a while in Premier League terms, right? That because that doesn't do points deductions per se, it's all financial penalties, that people are going, oh, because it's based on a squad, ratio, there won't be points deductions. Well, no, the bit based on the squad ratio is it's not 105 million, it's a 70% of turnover. That's the bit that's the same as squad ratio. Now, what it clearly does, the new rule, if they're basing it like UEFA, is say it's actually about constraint of excessive spending on footballers, not excessive spending full stop, right? Just on footballers. So hence it's a luxury tax, if you like that phrase, or it's a salary cap, which, if you choose to do it that way. And they're saying the money you spent on players, be it wages, agents' fees, and obviously the transfer fees themselves, you are constrained by your turnover on how much you can spend. Which means the haves, as per my MTAG article, stay the haves. The have-nots, like us, Everton, small turnover, will end up with less amount we spend on players, and so on and so forth, right? UEFA are doing a transition process, right? So over 2 or 3 seasons, they're going to get to where they want to get. We don't know what the Premier League are going to do. We just know they're under severe pressure that PSR doesn't work. So they're saying something better's coming along. What those other 18 clubs, I think, at their board meeting are spooked by, they're not spooked by the 105, because they've all come within that. They're spooked by the sanctions, which are big points deductions. So unless they announce anytime soon, by the way, and they'd be foolish to do this, wouldn't they, if you think of Nottingham Forest and Everton, by the way, we're not going to have points deductions anymore, then Everton and Forest don't get points deductions now, because it's not fair if they do. And if they don't get points now, what the heck are they going to do with the points Everton have already had? You cannot not give Forest points deductions because you know it's wrong when you've already given them to Everton.
They'll probably have to just bin it in the summer. If Everton, if 777 or any other entity by Everton, right? If 777 are given the green, the big
let's
stamp.
just touch on that a minute, because one thing that seems to be overlooked is they've already got 2 approvals, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which was at Christmas.
Yeah.
Now, what's dramatically different in the FA one and the Premier League one, when the Premier League surely they're an affiliate of the FA as such?
It is the Football Association Premier League.
Exactly.
So they got the FCA one, which is the big one.
Surely that's proof of funds.
The FA one, by the way, is predominantly about the women's teams. That's what they're approved.
I just want to get to this because we're going to finish in a minute. But if they're given the green light, then, or if it's another group, what for you? What should be the first steps they take to improve where we are? Because we seemingly have been without a plan for a long time, without with a plan. We don't seem to have followed any path. Certainly since Farhad Moshiri took over. So for you, what do we need to do?
We need structure and governance. They're the first 2 things. We need people in the right positions, not Colin trying to do 7 jobs, not Richard Kenyon trying to do 12 jobs or whatever. Get rid of him, definitely. If we need to improve our commercial performance, then get someone who's got a reputable, distinction in the industry.
Track record.
For going out and chasing, because it's going to come down to revenue. So we need better commercial performance. You can't be having pucker pies and people in from town coming in to just sponsor you for your quid. You know, we moan about we've got the bargain basement, although it's a lot of money in terms of sponsors. We need to boost that, and the stadium will help, right? But you need as well the structure in terms of the plan. Okay, Kevin Thirlwell, you're going to have this budget. Get on with it. Right, your job. If you fail, then you fall on your sword. Right, that's how it should be. And then everyone's judged by their department. No, we don't put out media. Why have we got so many media people? You know, the commercial report. I keep touching on it, but it's terrible. Right, I couldn't get a home shirt on the first day of the season. You know, couldn't get a kit for my little girl. It's a joke.
It's crazy.
You know, so and then just having them and communicate. We've done well in the last couple of months. Better communication from Thelwell. I know Dyche has had to front it up in a lot of the press conferences, but it's not really about that, is it? He shouldn't be fronting up off the field issues.
No,
he's just there to manage and coach.
Yeah.
We need the figureheads, you know,
you
know, and not people just that are a loose end or are doing the stadium tours who are then promoted. Can't have jobs for the boys, and that's what it be, and that's what's held us back for years. And you know, I know ticket prices have gone up again, but it's got to fall in line with where the club wants to go on it. And it's, you know, football is massively too expensive as it is, you know, and it's going to go up, and that's just what it is. It's just par for the course, isn't it? But just a semblance of a plan would be nice.
But for you, that's structure and governance.
It has to be, yeah.
For you, like, whoever it is who takes over, what's the first step that you want to see? Because we do just, and we keep saying it, it's like we're stuck in one season that's lasted 3 years so far.
I'd burn it all down. No, like they said, I'd get rid of the culture that's within the club. That means you have to get rid of people, sadly. It's just life, isn't it? There's a culture within this club that has a mentality that I can't get behind. We've seen it recently. I mean, it has to be that means you have to probably, and John will be better at this, you install somebody to put that culture into the club. Who's not just a figurehead, who's actually somebody who knows.
So like a proven CEO, do you want to see that straight away?
I mean, I've said that for quite a few years, and I know maybe finances have hampered us, but getting a CEO who's actually a really good CEO, not like somebody who gets it by default because they work at a charity. Literally, that is the culture of Everton Football Club. We have to move away from that and got to go and get the best of the best of whoever. I mean, obviously it's all to do with affordability, and create a new culture of you know, we're just watching Liverpool chasing the fella they used to have to come in and run the football operations. You know, he's going to be the CEO of football. I mean, that to me, it tells you everything about the two different clubs.
But they're trying to get multi-club.
Exactly, but they've gone up back and they've said they haven't took no for an answer. Yeah. When they were struggling, they went and got Peter Moore, who was the best fella, not only because he was red, but they believed, and he hadn't worked in football as in football club, but he'd worked in football because he'd worked for EA and knew all the partnerships, knew all Nike, Adidas,
room, didn't he?
EA, all of them. And got everyone and said, we're going to do this and do that. And he knew all the people in the room. You know, Bayern Munich go to people from Adidas because they know all. They go and get the best people who mightn't be to do with the actual runner of a football club, but they know they've got all the connections and they've done big deals. I mean, John Blain's the obvious answer, isn't he? But you know what I mean?
Certainly
like,
Bayern have tapped into the NFL, and now there's been, it was NFL London. Now they've got Germany.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they've been to and they just, it doesn't have to be a football person. So when this similar to what we've said about the players, you want someone, you can have John Roberts or Robertes from Rennes for $1 million, or you can have Neil Mopai because he's played in the Premier League. Well, it's incomparable, isn't it?
Because he's probably well better than him.
He's well better. Oh yeah, but he's got no Premier League. Well, what does that mean in terms of life? Doesn't mean anything.
Well,
does
I remember Thomas Frank being asked about Premier League experience, and he was like, "No, if you've been a good footballer, you can play in the Premier League and worry about that."
Exactly.
John, I'll leave the last word to you then. If whoever's rubber stamp, whether it's 777, whether it's Billy, Fred and John, who've got money from somewhere, whatever, what would make you feel like, I look like they're getting their act together a little bit and changing that bit? And like Ped said, how would you change the culture?
If it was dead easy, right, then with a commitment, you would have thought it would have happened already. Right? I think the culture, as Ped says, is completely wrong.
Yeah.
And that's been a product of many, many years.
Yeah.
And it's quite clear that there will be people in the organisation who are not capable of changing. Right?
Yeah.
So hence the soundbite, change the people or change the people. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think part of the challenge is that as a football club, they've been stuck in this doldrum for so long.
Yeah.
You actually, I think it's a bit excessive to say burn it down, but it's a good graphic way of describing what needs to be done. We all know what the problems are. You need better commercial income, you need more match day income, you need this, you need that, you need the other. But saying what's needed and doing it are not the same thing, right? So what this football club fundamentally needs, in my mind, is it needs the ability to be decisive in decision making. And it needs to be able to effectively communicate with its key stakeholders. One which for far too long it's frankly insulted with its relationship, which is the fan base, right? And I think that's started to get fixed over the last couple of years, right? Communications is still, in my view, piss poor, right? Kevin popping his head above the parapet every 3 months might be better than him not doing it at all. But a bit like the footballing side, lowering our expectations of what best practice is, isn't the answer. So
and Conte said it, didn't he? He said in Italy or whatever, it might have been Mourinho actually. When they're doing the media after, it's the sporting director who's interviewed, isn't it?
All that, right. So don't lower expectation and then make something which is barely average look good.
Can I pause you there then? Is there a chat? Have Everton got an opportunity then, whoever it is, to come in to set a new way of doing stuff then? Just because 8 other clubs don't do it like this, could we go in and go, like you just said, like we're going to get, if Ped's the sporting director, Ped speaks to the media once a week, or once a month, whatever it may be, should we be doing that and taking it on? Go, look, we haven't got billions to spend, but look how good we do this.
Mate, there are huge opportunities, and I think me and Ped have talked about that in the past, for football clubs, Premier League football clubs, to be the first to do stuff which is actually bog standard in other industries, you know,
or even in other countries,
and therefore not quite letting the media crawl all over your training ground all the time, but get far closer than anyone could imagine, right? Create, and the culture you get into, change the culture, but you have to, what kind of culture do you want, right? Have a challenger culture where everyone feels that their views are going to be listened to. Have a very objective performance-based culture, which frankly, I mean, I often say about my past day jobs, right? Back in the day, 20 years ago, when I was, you know, in the pomp, if you like, doing what I did for a living, I either earned lots of money or I got the sack, one or the other, right? And I was cool with that, because guess what? I kept earning lots of money. And I just think there isn't anybody at the football club right now capable of reshaping the organisation from what it is to what it needs to be. Nobody at all. So whomever it is, say it's 777, just because they're the guys, you know, on the step at the moment, I don't think they have the slightest idea what they're walking into. No. Right? But if they can make an announcement on day one of, and this is the chief exec, and day one, this is the chief engagement officer, I like that phrase, but the guy who's going to do all that comp stuff, right? And clearly a very strong and experienced finance director. And none of those, perhaps with the exception of the chief engagement officer, needs any prior footballing experience, in my view. They just know how to run businesses. They know how to turn businesses around. They know how to stimulate changes in behaviour and cultures. And they actually are proper leaders that people are prepared to follow. They do that, okay, not day one, first 30 days will do, right? Then I think we would all lift, right? We would all lift up. We'd all be more prepared to buy stuff from the club, right? We'd all be prepared to suffer increased ticket prices, because that's inevitable, because the people who are long since gone have built a too small stadium, right? And so on. But the culture has to be, we are Everton, we're going up. Anything else, if you don't believe that, the door's over there. And lots of people will self-select, because there's going to be a huge shock for lots of people at the football club that, if you like, they're going to have to work for a living. But a positive shock probably for almost the same number who think, hallelujah, I can now use all my skills, use all my experience and see it making a difference. So the only winners and losers in the culture change thing are the people who are not prepared to change. Everyone else will have a ball.
I think one of the things is just like, you know, you'll be close to this to me, but like AGMs is business basics. Was the last time we had an AGM? I can't even remember. You know, and the best thing that's come out the club, communication-wise, has been Julia's series.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's brilliant.
I'd genuinely build a new building at Finch Farm, just a media building.
You're right, I'd go with that.
Every single day there's a press conference with a different person.
Absolutely right.
Because you churn out stories every day, and the more stories you churn out that are positive, or you speak to Leighton Baines every day, or you speak to someone else every day.
It gets all over the place.
Next minute, every creator, every influencer, every journalist is satisfied there's enough content out there, and it gets rid of all the noise.
Yeah.
That fills in all the space.
And also
but you can't do any photoshops.
But when Roberto was here, all yous were in, and all the fan groups were in. And Alan Myers was there, and now we've got, you know, there's plenty of people.
That's what I'm saying, but all of it though.
So, yeah, but
make use of all of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make use of all those people.
Who does the presenting the pre-game for Everton?
Sarah. You get Julia, and you get all those people, and every day you get an invite, and you go every day, 1 o'clock, you can come down. Today to Leighton Baines, tomorrow it's the captain of the women's team, the next day it's going to be Seamus Coleman, the next day it's going to be the director of football, the next day it's the manager, and every single day it's half an hour with somebody. The content would go through the roof, and that's
and Everton's name and brand will be everywhere.
And the key there is the brands that we have deals with, be it
all get sponsored.
They're all on screen more often.
All the time.
They're all getting more bang for the buck. The price goes up.
Imagine last week Seamus Coleman. Seamus Coleman had actually physically came out in front of people and gone, "This is my brand new shirt."
Yeah.
Or someone had gone,
"I like that.
To show you, Seamus." What? You know, mate, that's your very own shirt. Oh my God, floods of tears. This is on sale right now.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Well, you could have it.
This is all the stuff that we should be doing. And just because nobody else is doing it, by the way, doesn't mean it's wrong.
But the sponsors could have each day as well, couldn't they?
Yeah.
So you could go, tomorrow is James Vaughan, because he's in the thing, and
Christopher Ward.
It's brought to you by Christopher Ward. So we go in and written people and whatever, and it's all like, oh, we were at the Christopher Ward sponsored blah de blah, and the sponsors are getting their name.
Imagine a world where our football club, and perceptions can be changed a lot faster than truth and reality, right? Went from being we talk ourselves down to we talk ourselves up. Let's have Toffee Fest, right? Every year, you pick a pair at a time, be it in the bloody, what's it called this week, the M&S Arena, whatever, and you end up with this city flooded with 25, 30,000 Evertonians spending money like it's Billy-O, right? And everyone immediately goes, nah, that's never going to happen, is it? What happens if we don't sell all the tickets? Ped's view would be, give me the stadium, I'll fill it for a Legends game, rather than worrying about whether there's going to be empty seats which don't look good on telly. You know, you've got to have a positive view of outcomes.
James Vaughan was the perfect example. Got a new job this week. Why don't you sit him in front of a few journalists and ask them what a job is? What's your job and what are you going to do?
Instead, you get a 2D statement with a picture.
No, we'll just give you the story. So one online company that you pay for. How's that fair on the rest of us? How's that fair on everybody else? How's that fair on someone who works for the Echo?
We got it.
No, you know we will get it. I'm not saying, but you know we'll get it. I'm just saying, how's that fair on the fella who works for the Echo, who works his bollocks off every day?
But imagine, because you're right, because we're on a roll now, aren't we? Right, if you want tickets for the Bournemouth game, you have to have 67 credits. Right, that's like your evidence that you've been following Everton for at least 3 years, home and away, and no one can argue. Therefore, you should get the ticket. If you're doing what he says, which is you have an effectively media event every single day, morning and afternoon, in the media centre at Finch Farm, blah blah blah, you suddenly get to the end of a period and you go, the times have been 6 times. The Echo have been 187 times. Toffee TV have been 497 times. Who's actually committed to this football club? Who always turns up? Now, from a football...
Make it like the West Wing. We'll just stay there.
Well, we seen it a couple of weeks ago with the thing at Everton 2, didn't we? And they changed the time on the day.
He's done that before.
His own goals.
They just go, people stood around.
I know we've talked about 777, right? But there's no shortage of companies who want to throw money at the Premier League for documentaries and specials. And even on YouTube, you know, I watch a lot of American stuff. and you know it's all paid promotion.
Yeah.
But you get on there and it's free. So you know, in association with whatever. So there's lots to be learned. It doesn't have to be you've played in the Premier League, you've managed in the Premier League, you've been.
You normally have to pay for advertising, right? But if you do an Amazon documentary, they pay you to advertise your company to everyone in the world.
Yeah.
Right, listen, take all of them ideas, Blues, and do it.
Yeah, do it.
Let us know what
We've
you
got
think.
loads more.
Whoever takes over,
Great potential.
what do you want to see? What will convince you that things are trying to move in the right direction? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. See you later.